Welcome to Tech Notice. You're probably here because you want to know what good options are there in terms of on-camera monitors. Good, cheap on-camera monitors. This over here is a Feelworld T7 7-inch monitor, full HD IPS panel, and it costs only $160. And you can't get very much cheaper than that. So I'd like to tell you my experience of this monitor and what it's been like using it, some of the good sides, the bad sides, to cover everything, so it would help you decide whether you want to buy it or not. Just remember, I'm going to leave the links for this in the description, as well as some of the things that I'm talking about. For example, if you need like a good ride cable for your camera, I'm going to leave it in the description, because it comes with a cable over here that is HDMI mini, which doesn't go, for example, with the Sony camera. So if you're using a Sony camera, you need a different cable. Anyway, I'm going to leave a lot of good and useful links in the description that you might want to check out. So my daily driver over there, actually, this is the Cine 4K A6 Plus, which is a 5-inch monitor. It's a full HD panel, 5-inch one, and that costs around $230. So that's even more expensive. So this is really cheap, and I'd like you to keep that in mind when we're talking about these things, because then you see how good the monitor is, and some of the bad sides actually don't matter that much. So in the box comes this monitor over here. The box is like that. Quite a nice box. Tells you all the features on it, which we're going to tell you about in a moment. Then there is this HDMI cable over here. This is HDMI to HDMI mini, which means that this is like for the Canon cameras, or some of them. So just check for the manufacturer, check with your camera if you want to do that. Another thing is that this shade comes with it. You can easily just pop it onto the monitor like that. Let me show you. Boom and boom, and that's it. You've got a shade for your monitor if you want to use that, or if you're like a director and you're using it more in the sunshine or things like that. In terms of the brightness of the monitor, the brightness is, let me just get the numbers for you so I'm not lying. The brightness is 450 CDM, which is 450 nits. And the last thing that's in the box is this little ball head. It's not the best ball head. It's very cheap, but it'll do the job if you need to do it. So let's talk about the good sides and things that I like about this monitor straight away. First of all, like I mentioned, it is very, very cheap. So if you're looking for something affordable, maybe for your studio or maybe for your camera rig, something that just you need to frame yourself up. For example, at the moment, I'm looking at two monitors. There's one over there that kind of I'm seeing on top of the camera. There's one over here that's a bit more closer by that that's a 7-inch monitor that I can check my focus over here. So if I'm doing that, I know that my hand is in focus now. Perfect. And now it's focused on my face. So you need some kind of monitors to kind of do that type of things. For if you're shooting videos like this or product videos, you want to like just get it up close. So that's why you need that type of monitor, and this is very cheap option to start with. Second of all, it is very well built. Actually, it very surprised me. It's all metal built over here and very thin, to be honest, and very just like works. You know, it doesn't feel like super professional grade, but it feels all right. So nothing bad to say about that. So I was quite impressed. You know, you would expect something a bit more cheaper, but it's actually quite all right. I'm just going to take the shade off because I want to show you some of the things on the monitor as well. Another thing is that it uses the Sony F-style batteries over there. If you don't know which batteries these are, I'm going to leave some in the description as well. So in the back over here, there is a good battery, like a plate, and it works really well. Now, I've had some monitors before that don't have the locking mechanism and don't just work quite well. This works really well, and I've got to mention that because I've had some bad experiences with some of the more expensive monitors where it just doesn't work so well. So it doesn't pop out until you press this release button over here, which is very, very good. So the battery release works very well. In terms of the screen quality, sharpness and screen quality, I think it's a very, very good screen. I'm looking at it in a very, very shallow and sharp angle of view, and I'm actually getting very, very good and accurate colors because it's an IPS panel, which you have to know is a very, very good option. The other one is TFT, which is not as good, but this is the IPS, which is much better. So I've got another 7-inch monitor by Portkeys, which I'm looking through at the moment, and interestingly enough, I've preferred this one over the few weeks that I'm testing this because it's just much better in terms of sharpness and getting the image in focus. So I like that one much more. So there's quite high number of pixels per inch, which makes the focusing on this very, very good. Another thing that's just like a small little thing that I think is very helpful, and I wish that some of the other monitors that I'm using would have, is that when you're using false color, the IRA has also the numeric values on the side of the screen over here. So you can see the different colors when you're using it on the screen, but then it's very, very helpful to also see the numeric values, like which color is what value. So if I know, for example, that S-Log 3 clips around 95 IRE, then I want to kind of make sure that like my highlights or whatever, you know, I'm trying to expose it on, hits that 95 or around 95. If you don't have that, you're kind of guessing by colors. You can see all these different colors, but you don't know which is which percentage exactly. You don't know if it's 80 or 70, or, you know, you obviously know what's 100 and 0, but just in the middle it gets very muddy. So I like that about that a lot. So in terms of the I/O of the monitor, there is a 1/4" screw hole on the bottom and on the top. You have some buttons on the top here, 2 function keys, left and right, up and down key, and the menu and power button. Then on this side you will have the power, so you can power it by 12-volt DC adapter if you have one of those. For example, if you're in the studio, you want to maybe have one of those, so you can plug it in and you don't have to use a battery. There's HDMI in and out, so if you want to feed this signal to another monitor, like I am doing here at the moment, I've got a monitor over there and then another one over here. I'm just running a HDMI cable to this monitor over here, which just actually, you know, duplicates that image from there to here. And then you've got the headphone jack on the side over here as well. So if your camera doesn't have a headphone jack, or if you want to monitor out audio, you can use this over here. Just a reminder that there is a slight lag on the audio coming through the HDMI. And then lastly, on the bottom over here, there is a USB port for the USB upgrade, so you can upgrade the firmware. Before we go on to the bad sides, hit that like button if you're enjoying this video. It actually makes a difference, just so you know. Now the bad sides, let's talk about some of them as well. So when I've been using this monitor, there are kind of 2 main bad sides that I would like to point out. First of all, it's not so much of a bad side that it's a bad design of the monitor, it's more of a feature that I wish it had. For example, I'm shooting a lot of S-Log 3, so this over here, this is what comes out of the camera, this is what I'm shooting on at the moment. This is S-Log 3, and I like to color grade and play around with my color grading and change it. And, you know, if I don't like it, I can turn to a different one, and then different one, and then different one, and different one. I can have all these different options rather than baked in one color. To see my final image, for example, over there at the moment, I can see already the graded image because I've loaded my usual LUT that I've created myself over there, and I can see the exposure is good. I can see that the colors are all right. Maybe, you know, if I go a little bit more like this, I can see that this starts to blow out because the light is coming here. I can see the final image. Now, when using this monitor over here, it just doesn't have the LUT support. I know I've made this part a bit long, but basically the feature that I wish it had was a LUT support. I personally would happily pay another $30 up to $50 more to get the LUT support, because then this monitor would be absolutely amazing. Second bad thing about this monitor is just the usability of the menu. So when going onto the menu of the monitor, there is the menu button over here, and then now there is left and right buttons on this side of the monitor, and then up and down buttons on this side of the monitor. And then when you want to change anything on the menu, it is very, very annoying. So I'm often pressing the wrong buttons, going up and down instead of left or right. It's not as easy as having like a scroll wheel and touch like I'm used to, like some of the other monitors I'm using, making it a touchscreen, but obviously that will make the monitor more expensive, so I understand why they've done that. I think having a scroll wheel and a touch wouldn't be too hard to add instead of these buttons over here. I could have more function buttons then, and then I could have a wheel over there, so that's it really. So these are the 2 bad sides that I can say about the monitor. In terms of anything else, I have to remind myself that it's a very cheap monitor, and I can't really compare it to something very expensive or something from Atomos, because it's just not in that scale, and that will be unfair. I have to look at the monitor for what it is. So generally, I think it's a very good monitor. If you're looking for something budget, something slim, it's very slim design, by the way, I forgot to mention that. It is a very good option. Sony batteries, everything like that. It is an awesome monitor to get for that budget, and for the price point, you can't get any cheaper. In fact, when we look at it in a way that this is the cheapest 7-inch Full HD monitor, on-camera monitor in the world, please feel free to correct me in the comment section below if I'm wrong. This is a very, very good price point. Best bang for buck for your money. It's the cheapest monitor and you would expect it to be bad because it's the cheapest in the world, but it actually isn't. It's a very good option for your money. Okay, boom, that's it for today. Thanks guys for watching. Remember to like the video if you haven't already, because it actually makes a massive difference. Subscribe if you haven't already, because more content like this is coming out every single week. Now, if you want to check out some other videos about other monitors that I'm using, feel free to check that out on my channel. My daily driver and this A6 Plus monitor, absolutely awesome monitor as well. Check that review out. If you have any other questions, leave a comment below because I'll be meeting you in the comment section below. Thanks guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Adios.